Happy lunch hour, gang. Okay, so it's Sunday afternoon and chugging on along, and we just put PBJ back on the road heading back home. So it was a good weekend here, had by all. We took her out shooting again this morning. She wanted to go back to the range. I'll post a picture of her target up on the community board if anybody wants to see. She actually did really well. For a first-time shooter, I was pretty impressed. But that's not what I'm here to talk about. So you remember about, a week ago, I guess it was, I was talking about the rumors that were on the dark web about there's supposed to be a hack that's been talked about, or, taking down the grid between now, the end of August, well, it's the 25th anyway, so we're there, and the election day. And the stories all had that it was China. And I know a lot of people have said this rumor is constantly recycled over and over and over again. Okay, that's fair enough. Something's coming. And as we talked about last night, an October surprise. The FBI came out this week and warned that Chinese hackers, go figure, are preparing to, as the article says, which I will link below, wreak havoc on the U.S. water system. Now, think about how many times we've talked about your water source. Water is one of the hardest things for us to prepare for, to prep. Water's heavy, water takes up a lot of space. Where are you going to get it? So what are your backups for water? You think about the perfect thing to do. You could take out the grid. You could take out the internet. Those are the common ones that everybody expects. But criminal entities, hostile, they go for what you don't expect. Think about anywhere. Why, as we were just talking about here before I started recording this, how the criminals are always going to be one step ahead of the law. If there's a roadblock at the end of your street, you're going out the other end, another entrance or another exit. Okay, it's just the way you do it. If I don't know, pick something. If the drug dealers know that the Border Patrol is watching Sector 1, they're going to move all their drugs through Sector 2 that day, whatever. That's just the way it works. So while all the conversation and the commentary is being made about going after the grid or going after the internet, connectivity, communications, that talks about an EMP, how much have people really given thought to going after the water supply? Imagine, simply, you go turn on the shower when you get up this morning and the water comes out. You go to flush the toilet, the tank doesn't fill. You go to wash the dishes, make a pot of coffee, and there's no water. How much thought have you given to that? What are your backups for water? Now, like everybody else, there is no one size fits all, and we've talked about different things in water many times. I mean, I'm on a well. I've got a backup system so I can run my well if they take out the grid. They're not going to be able to take out my well unless somehow they can figure out how to poison it, and that's a different story. That's why I built the pond, so I had a water source. I live near a lake, so there's at least a water source that would last for some time. Not that they're going to drain the lake, but how filthy it would get, how quickly by people washing clothes, bathing, whatever in the lake over and over and over again. So what do you do for your backup water? What if what the FBI, and again, I know what we all think of three-letter agencies, what the Phoebes are saying that China's planning on hacking our water supply, a municipal water supply. Now, what does that mean? Does it mean that they're going to take out the sewage plants? Are they going to take out the pumping plants? Are they going to, poison the Great Lakes? I mean, Chicago, for example, gets their water out of Lake Michigan, or wherever, Cleveland out of Lake Erie, or whichever, what. What is your backup? I mean, these are things that we need to think about. And again, I know people say all the time, I only need 1 gallon of water. FEMA says 1 gallon of water per person per day. And I've made the case many times that that's bullshit, that 6 gallons per person per day is a minimum, and that is for drinking water, for cleaning, okay? You know, not only yourself, which, okay, fine, clean out your pits and you're good, but for cooking and for washing any dishes, okay? And I know people say, well, I've got paper plates. Yeah, okay. You got paper spatulas and everything that you're going to use to flip over that hamburger or whatever. You know, somehow you're going to have stuff to wash. You got paper cups. Now you're going to be creating a whole bunch of trash that you're going to have to get rid of over and over and over again somehow. We need to think about things like that, because this is how an effective attack on the United States is going to come. It's not going to be tanks landing on the California coast and rolling across the United States. That's not effective. I mean, they wouldn't get to the Rocky Mountains, let alone through the Rocky Mountains, okay? But if they can start taking out our weak infrastructure as it is, you know, the roads, think of any war. Yeah, take out a couple of bridges, and how, you know, you cut off the east half of the country and the west half of the country if you take out the bridges across the Mississippi. Hey, that's it, okay? You know, there's not going to be a whole bunch of barges floating cars across, you know, the river from, you know, say Memphis to Arkansas. That's just not going to happen. But water is a huge one. And if the water's polluted, or if the water doesn't come out of the tap, what are your plans? I mean, I know people store cases of water. I've got cases of water, but you can only store so much of that. It's extremely heavy. I know people store IBC totes. I've got IBC totes, but they're heavy. Okay, I mean, 250 gallons worth of water weighs a ton. Just to give you that as an idea. It's 1 ton of weight. You're not keeping that on your living room floor. Your living room floor is going to be in your basement pretty quick, you know, leaving that kind of weight around. How many of those can you stack? I don't even want to get into trying to water plants. It's been a very dry summer here. I've had to water my plants quite often. That's not going to happen. So now you talk about a food supply. We all talk about rain collection, which is a great idea, but what happens when you go, like we have recently, 2-3 weeks without any rain? Okay, that means you got no water. That means you can't clean yourself. That means you can't cook. You know, all those boxes of spaghetti you have and bags of beans and bags of rice are useless without water. It's something that we need to pay attention to. And when it comes out in the news that there's a hack coming on our water supply, it's time to take this stuff seriously. We know the FBI is not necessarily our friend, but we still have to listen to what they say. Pay attention, figure out backups to backups to backups to backups to your water, because water's life. Without water, everything else you have is pretty much useless. Pinball out.